Shall we start with the mental health check-in, guys? We have lots of time today. I can also start, as always, if you guys don't want to start or don't feel comfortable starting today. Yes, what's going on, Panda? Do you want to start with the mental health check-in today? You haven't participated in a while. Oh, it's just sort of, it's like a check-in opportunity for you, essentially. So it's just, you can share how you have been doing, maybe get emotional support or like guidance on any issue or anything, or just have someone to listen to you. You don't have to if you don't want to. It's just an opportunity. Why do you not have a therapist or psychiatrist anymore? The line is over and I'm kind of sad and kind of not. Always gives me a lot to think about. Tomorrow starts my job training thing and just switched the schedule from one. I have to reschedule everything. Oh, that's annoying. Still stiff sometimes. What does the chiropractor or physio say? Like, do they think going back to the training is a good idea? More hair loss, more hair growth. There are places where I don't want it. You have maybe a girlfriend now. What do you mean, maybe a girlfriend? But I'm glad to hear this. Ah, okay. So might turn into a girlfriend situation. They say I have to train the muscle because it's not a pain thing anymore, but the muscle just kind of degenerated in that sense. Just tensed up and doesn't come loose anymore. Yeah, in the beginning it can like really help to like keep going to the physio or chiropractor for them to like help you relax again. But definitely like train the muscle is like not the training you have been able to do before, right? Like you need to start slower. I hope they also told you that. Because it's like really easy to overstrain the muscle, especially at the beginning, because all your other muscles are able to do more and then you sort of like overtrain it like easier, especially if it's like the back. Because the back is not like just giving out. But I don't give my indication. What is indication? You might have broken a rib. Why have you broken a rib? Or might have broken a rib. It's like indication, like the like what is it specifically? Like what does it mean? Is it like the clearance that your doctor says like, okay, like you can start with the hormones? Or is it more like this whole process of getting this approved. Ah, okay. But you don't get it, why? Like, especially if you don't have a therapist anymore. Or a psychiatrist. I had to fish something out of my tea. Because you're not anymore therapist, she doesn't want to do it. Did she give like a good reason, or like what, like why? She, like, did she really just say no? Because usually therapists are like really like, you know. She just said like, I don't feel comfortable giving you the indication, or I come like too inexperienced. Okay. Well, I guess that's sort of fair, but also like, did you not like go to that therapist for an indication? Well, inexperience can still mean just like inexperience with trans people, right? Okay. So maybe that's why. Maybe she like you're the first like trans person coming her way, and she's like, I don't really know what to do. I don't know. Oof. Okay. Get well soon with the rib, I hope. I still go twice a week, but they say it's probably just this month. After that, I have to search for a special back muscle training routine. I mean, at least it's still this month. Maybe they can give you like a back muscle training routine or something. At least that's what I hope now, that they give you some sort of like guidance, sort of like, oh, do like these and these exercises for like a couple more weeks and it should be fine or something. Why is your mental health getting worse? What do you think? Jealous at women. This is the wrong time to tell me you're jealous of me. I'm literally on my period right now. I'm like, I'm so fed up, genuinely. But to me, I mean, I don't know, like, considering I'm autistic, I also don't really, I don't have that much of a connection to my body anyway. So I sort of see it as more like a third person perspective. Now I think just from that third person perspective, being a woman sucks. Because it's like you have to take care the entire time around men. And it's just really, really annoying. And it takes effort, and you're supposed to like look pretty and stuff like this. You're socially sort of like expected to have long hair and fit certain beauty standards, and if you don't fit these beauty standards, you will be treated differently. And you notice this around men. Like, if they don't think you're attractive or anything, you will be treated differently. And it's, I don't know. Yeah, that's true. It's just, I mean, if you're trans, it's also like a different calculation, right? Because it's usually connected to some type of like body dysmorphia, right? Um, which to me, it's just like really inconvenient to be a woman. Like, if I could pee standing, that would be like convenient, like more convenient than have to like sit somewhere to pee and stuff like this. Like, this is sort of the perspective, like I'm coming from this like really sort of like practical third person view of like, if I would be a man, I wouldn't have issues with sexism, my intelligence wouldn't be a threat to people, and I could just be standing. I wouldn't have to worry as much about being raped and stuff like this if I go out alone. um yeah, I probably would be taken more seriously in front of doctors. That's also annoying. Because they literally, the amount of times I've been asked, like, oh, is it just because of your period? Maybe it's just hormones. And then, like, nothing, like, no hormonal test or anything being taken to, like, fix any hormonal issues, but just being like, well, yikes, sucks, I guess. It's really annoying. Yeah, but you can do it out of necessity, you know? Like, if I'm, like, every time I take the train somewhere and you have these, like, really shitty train toilets, it's just like, I wish I could just pee standing. Because, like, being in that train and having to, like, hover while the train is, like, sort of, like, moving is not easy. It takes a lot of strength, and you need to hold on to something, which is also disgusting. Yeah. And then also that, like, getting an orgasm is harder. Like, it's annoying. It's just annoying. And then, I don't know, yeah, period. Just annoying. Not only period, the fact that in like later on in our lives, women like lack hormones they need to like be to essentially be healthy, to function properly. Um, because like men like run out less from hormones, right? Like they it's like sort of like a gradual decrease, but it's sort of like fine-ish. And for women, it's like when they hit their like menopause, then it's like a huge shift. It and it can lead to so many issues. It's so annoying. Like the mom of Zach, probably because of this, has always like it's like sweating in 1 second and then like freezing in the next second. Like she can't like she has sleep issues the entire time. She has like really shallow sleep. I think she also has like emotional irregularities, and because of that sort of. But they can also like you don't even really like with these sort of things you don't even really know if it's because of the hormones or because of the pain and like sleep insufficiency and stuff like this. Because for example, like I'm now on my period and I notice how I'm like more irritated, but I also have pain the entire time, which sort of explains why like everybody is irritated if they have like serious pain the entire time. So it's like I don't even know if I'm irritated because of different hormone levels or if I'm irritated because I'm in pain the entire time. And also just like iron deficiency and this type of stuff. It's not really annoying. Yeah. No, I don't want to like convince you or anything, of course. Um, I'm just saying, like when you come to me with like, oh, I'm so jealous of being a woman, I'm like, of what? Please tell me. I do realize that like looking, I guess like feeling confident in yourself and feeling like you look good is like a huge factor. And that's the factor I meant in the beginning with like that being trans and being in the wrong body is usually connected to some type of like body dysmorphia, and I think it's like a huge impact on your life if you genuinely just hate your own body. And apart from the like really hard body dysmorphia, also only feeling like shitty and like ugly in your body is also like a huge impact in your life. Like we also see that in like women who are like really unhappy with their body and stuff like this. Like it's impacting mental health seriously. And yeah. So now you have to get a new therapist, Pandas, now. Do you already have like anybody in mind or anything? Or can your old therapist maybe like send you like a recommendation letter for like another therapist so you get help sooner or something? And can get that indication sooner? She looked disappointed. Yeah, well, I personally would see it as a compliment, and a really good one at that. Because I usually don't get much credit for being intelligent. It's just sort of like the way of the women. But we also know that like there's actually been a study made that apparently like women who are intelligent are less dateable to men. So I guess in that sense, it could sort of like be disappointing to her, like, oh no, I'm still too intelligent. Nobody's gonna date me or something. Or that she doesn't want to be perceived as like a boss babe. Because apparently there's also like negativity around like boss babes and like, oh, nobody wants to date like a boss babe. Well, I feel like nobody wants to date a boss babe. Like, oh my God. No way. Like I see that. But like I see a lot of men who don't want to date a boss babe. But like if you look at a boss babe and you like genuinely, if you feel confident in yourself, like I feel like dating a babe can sometimes be challenging, but it's like they're gonna pull you up. They're gonna literally make you more intelligent. A boss babe is just, to me, it's like an intelligent, ambitious, successful woman who takes charge, who's confident. Yeah. Well, there's always like I feel like I feel like usually boss babes can be quite nice, but if they think you're stupid, then they command you around. Because they're just like, okay, like you're not gonna get it done anyway. Like you don't sufficiently in my time get to the conclusion, so I'm just gonna give it to you. Because I wanna be there. I don't really care if you, I don't know, get there on your own or if I need to shove you there, but you know. Yeah. No, I think that makes like a lot of sense as well. I mean, you can always like in these situations, you know, you can always be like, "Oh, like you look disappointed. Like what did you want to hear? Like did I say anything wrong?" You know, like you can always ask for clarification that way. So, I feel like being open about the things like the signals you get and sort of like just asking is like a lot of the time really good. Panas, I wanted to ask if it's like sort of basically like every woman, what are you jealous of specifically? Like, are there specific points? Yeah. Even when people ask me what I think about them, like I can only lose in this situation. How can you only lose? Oh, yeah. I'll answer the other question first. Hmm. I feel like for me, when people like ask me, like genuinely, I don't. There's little people who have asked me like what I think about them. But I'm usually the person who like these topics come up sort of if a person feels like if a person has like a bad day, you know, and they seem less confident than usual and sort of maybe I don't know, yeah, they just sort of have a bad day. Um and feel maybe a little bit unsure about themselves or their life or the situation or something. And I don't know, I personally then take specifically these situations to sort of like build them up with what, yeah, well, with what I see in them. And like it's never failed me. I don't know, like the most people like really like my opinion about them, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like I feel like the only people I've ever had like issues with about the opinion on them have been people where I didn't have the best opinion of. Which has been usually men in that situation. Uh but yeah, but I don't think like to like usually men I don't really like, they don't ask me about my opinion because they get that I don't really like I'm not a fan of them. So they wouldn't ask me, I think. Like you don't ask for for a reality check if you know that reality check is not gonna be nice. um so for me it's usually always ever was the situation with yeah, somebody having a bad day and then just sort of like building them up again and being like, hey, you know, like you're a smart, ambitious woman. Like I know, like if anyone's gonna do this, it's you, and sort of stuff like this, and then it just never fails. But it's also like a biased situation, right? Because it's like, like that person that moment feels shit about themselves, so it's like, I guess it's sort of like easy to make a good compliment. Relationship thinking, be it platonic or romantic. I mean, I know that I can be honest with most of my friends, doesn't matter of male or female, but with outside people, I think it's kind of hard for me. Yeah, definitely. I mean, with outside people, it's just sort of like you need to find out what they sort of like how they tick. And communication is still like less efficient with them as well because they don't know your style of communication that well, and you don't know their style of communication that well. That's why usually like talking to strangers is just like less efficient than with friends. Except there is like a lack of certain communication in a friendship. So classical example of this is the like two dudes not being able to talk about feelings. Like they're best friends, they could be like they could understand each other like really well on other topics, where if they would talk to a stranger, they would have to explain it way more in detail and stuff like this to be understood. But then, for example, with emotions, it's way easier to talk to a stranger than talk to their friend, because there's like a lack of this communication style between them. And then on top of that is the pressure that they are friends. So that's how in this specific case then the communication is worse, I think. But like, yeah, generally, definitely it's easier to talk to friends, especially if it's about like an honest opinion. Yeah. Yeah, this is exactly it. Like finding the right words is basically adapting to their communication style. Because everybody, even if you speak the one language, everybody, even if you speak the same language, has a different style of communication, like a different word pattern and stuff like this. So essentially, if you have a friend, you unconsciously and sometimes consciously study their communication pattern, and you will adjust to each other. This is why we, for example, pick up phrases from our friends and stuff like this. Like we pick up jokes from them, or just like their favorite word, and then we say it as well. This is because we adapt to each other. This is how like our communication with friends is then more efficient, because we know how they interpret specific words and how we need to say something so they take it in the right way. But yeah, this only happens if like this happens low-key subconsciously, but at the same time it only happens with people who do have sort of like, or it happens really well with people who have a concept of how do I say this? Essentially like taking responsibility for the other person understanding. Because I feel like some people don't get the concept of, to communicate well, to be a person who has great communication skills, it doesn't mean so much that you know like a lot of words, that you have read a lot of books and stuff like this. But it more so means that you know how you need to tell someone something so they actually get what you mean. Like it's sort of like it's actually seeing people, getting people, and then of course having like a skill in the language so that it's like not holding you back. Like you need to know enough words that you can make it work when you've got how you need to explain a person something. And then I think you have really great communication skills. But yeah, like great about communication skills is not about you communicating, it's about you being understood. At least that's sort of the definition for me. Because I feel like you can communicate all day, but if you're not understood, then like you don't really communicate. It's like you send but nobody receives. Like how is that communication? So to me it's usually about like you need to make sure the other person receives it in the way you wanted it to. And then it's like thumbs up communication. This is why usually actually talking to people over share is easier, I feel like. Like sometimes it can go like, you can get like absolutely sidetracked, but I feel like usually it's easier to like meet strangers or like to talk to strangers where you don't know the communication pattern then if they overshare, because they're probably going to explain it to you like 3 times in 3 different ways. And like not directly, but sort of like giving you the situation, but then like giving you more context and more context. So you can sort of like, you will figure it out. Versus with people you don't know who use little words, well, if those words fail, then there's no understanding. I don't know, then the communication is lost. So, but sometimes there's some people who actually get lost by using more words. So it's really, you sort of need to figure out the person in front of you. I'm usually like really bad at using less words. Because I can sometimes use less words, but if it's a person who doesn't really communicate too well with a lot of words, the situation usually is that you need to use a low amount of words with like all the meaning. And well, essentially, I just don't think they can take a lot at once. This is why I don't really match with them too well, because I would need to stop the conversation when I'm not finished. And that can be really frustrating because I'm in that moment, I'm like in the conversation and I want to make like all these points and like, you know, all these connections. And they're basically like, I would need to pause the conversation after the first point to give them time to like properly process. And if you don't do that, you just sort of overwhelm them. But it's like so hard to stop because you're like, okay, you've gotten this, but there's so much else you actually need to know. And if there's no like, I feel like it would be easier if it's like a person when you know, like, okay, you see them like every week. Like if you don't tell them now, you can just tell them next week, whatever. But if it's a stranger, it's like usually you want to give that thing you talk to them about. You want to give them the complete picture in that very specific session. And if they then can't really take that much input at once, it's I don't really know how to fix that. I think it's just sort of like a mismatch of yeah, I don't know, energy, whatever. It's just sort of like there's people who like think less or like who think slower, and there's people who think like really fast. And I think I work well with people who can keep the pace. And I think I just don't work well with people who can't keep the pace, but need to, I don't know, just need more time. Because it's not like, I'm not trying to say that they're like, it's a difference between like stupid and smart people. Because I feel like some of those people who use like very like little amount of words and who process like slow and can't take too much at once, they sometimes just think sort of like they need to think in their own context about things, and they sometimes like think the same amount, but they need to sort of like think for themselves. Like they can't they can't subscribe to someone else talking about this, but they really need to grasp it in their own context, sort of. So it doesn't mean that they're like, that they get it less or something, but I leave that conversation with the feeling of like that person did not understand what I was saying, and that person leaves the conversation with, I did not understand what this person was saying. She said way too much. So, yeah. Yeah. I feel like you just make sure, right? Like if you explain it one way, that person might get it. But if you explain the same thing in two different ways, the chance is double. That's why, yeah, I feel like it's there's just like people who fit well with you and your communication style, and people who don't. Um, and I think that that's sort of just people who don't really. Yeah. I feel like sometimes you just need to find the right people instead of trying to prepare persons who don't match well for to be able to take it. But well, sometimes we just sort of change, and then it's like you gotta make it work. Okay, coming back to the jealousy. Honestly, I think it's like a you are jealous of what you can't have situation. Like it's not just something that came up like a month ago or something, but something that has kind of always been there. I don't think it's like particularly something like, oh, I'm jealous of great hair or something like that, but more like, I wish I had these starting conditions, I guess. I don't know, it's hard to explain. No, I think I get it actually. Like this makes a lot of sense, right? Like you're jealous that I have the experience of just being a woman. I don't have to go to a therapist to get an indication to then go through all of these hormone changes with that, all this stuff. I don't have to be like, I'm not perceived as trans if I go outside. I don't have to deal with this whole bullshit. Because I think like what essentially like this is like, I understand it from the perspective of like, you never asked for this. Like, you never asked to be born, and then you chose to be like the rebel, and you chose to be like to protest gender norms and stuff like this. You were born, and you just don't feel like a guy, you just feel like a girl, and that's like not on you, right? So like, I guess that's how the jealousy on me makes sense, because or like on women in general, because like, I'm a woman like you, but you had it easy, you know? Like, you just started a woman and I started a guy. Like, I want to have started a woman. Like, I don't want to go through this whole bureaucracy bullshit, talk to these bullshit people, have to sort of like explain others why I'm actually a woman, why I actually think I'm a woman, why I actually think I've always been a woman, like why I'm actually a real woman and not just a half woman or whatever. Like, I don't, like, you've been put in this place without any like like, you didn't choose to be like to be an activist, but now you are, sort of like this kind of thing. Is it like this? Like, the is that the sort of the jealousy, maybe? I think my tea is actually gone bad. And every time I drink it, I feel like, this doesn't taste right. But I'm so annoyed. I just wanted to be with this like ready cup of tea, and now I also put milk inside, even though I knew it's probably gonna be bad. So now I feel bad that I wasted the milk, and I feel like I should drink it, but like, tea goes. Yeah, I actually I don't really know either. The milk hasn't been in there. Like, it's gone bad without the milk. Like, I put it in afterwards. But yeah, I don't really know how tea goes bad. But to me, I don't know. Like, it's sometimes even molding. Like, I don't really understand why that happens. It's just that there's like a super large group that, even though they might have to experience their living solely based on their identity, can basically live the life you wanted to live without having to face repercussions for it. Want to have to go through shit to get there will experience repercussions for it, especially in the political climate coming up. Most importantly, been too afraid to live like you wanted to because of the fear of experiencing the said repercussions. Yeah, that's essentially sort of what I mean. But I absolutely get it. I'm honestly like, I'm really like, I didn't think of this before when you like told me that you were jealous of women, and I feel like a little bit stupid now, actually, because this makes like so much sense. It's honestly, sometimes it's low-key, like sometimes I'm jealous of like men that way, because I'm like, I didn't ask to be objectified, you know? Like, if I could choose, I would just like hang my body with tits and all in the like closet, and I would just be a genderless person, you know? Well, like, you can't, like, why does it matter if I'm a woman, how intelligent I can be? Like, how can you accept certain behavior from like a man, but for me now I'm arrogant, like now I'm I don't know, like irrational and something like this. I think it's so annoying, especially because I think maybe because I'm autistic, I notice these things easier. Like, I notice how people behave different around men and women in more detail, I think. Or I'm just not able to like push it away in my head and be like, oh, it's fine, because I'm like, I see the pattern and I can't look away. And it's it's honestly, it's so annoying, because to a certain point it makes me hate that I'm a woman. It's like, I can't even, like, sometimes it honestly, it keeps me from enjoying that I'm a woman. And it's like, no, I don't want to wear skirts. I don't want to have to deal if somebody is filming up my skirt or not. I don't want to have to deal with like an old guy looking at me weird because I like, you know, like look pretty. And I don't know, like genuinely also with stream, I usually wear stuff which is like has no boobs at all. Because I'm like, I don't want to have to deal with it. I don't want to have to deal with this whole bullshit. And it's honestly, it's like really annoying because even around friends a lot of the time, if the topic of feminism comes up, I'm a woman and they're a man. And if I then complain about a certain problem I encounter where I know it's different because I'm a woman at that moment, they can't just listen to it and be like, that sucks. But they always get like personally offended by it. Where I'm like, this is, get over yourself. Like, shut the fuck up, get over yourself. Like, you want to be there for me as a woman? Like, you want to be there for me? Then you need to be able to listen to me complain about sexism I receive, I encounter, I live through, and just give me emotional support. Because what you lack in that moment is like, because it's not about like the issue I have, but what actually essentially happens is that you are a friend where I can't be open to, where I have a few topics where I won't get emotional support from you. This is a bad friendship. This is a lower quality friendship. If you want to be a good friend, you like a really, really good friend, like the best friend, you need to be able to give me emotional support around any topic. No matter your ego. Like, put it in a closet. It doesn't matter right now. It's like, what matters right now is that I'm a friend and I need emotional support. And if you're caught up in your ego, it's just like, okay. So apparently you're a man first and not a friend first. And that's really, really annoying. And that's really annoying, especially because you find it. I have literally. I'm not sure if I have any male friend where I can properly complain about sexism without having to baby their emotions. And I know they're not bad people. And most of them are like low-key feminists sometimes as well, but it still stands between us. And it's really sad because it makes you isolated as a woman with the female experience. It makes you isolated as a human with the female experience. Because you just wanted to talk to your friend. You didn't ask to talk to a man specifically. So this is like, I don't know, like I personally think it's really, really annoying. Because it's like let's see it from a third perspective, right? Like sexism sucks. And I feel like it doesn't matter in which direction, but like sexism sucks ass. Like racism does, like any discrimination does. And of course you want to be able to just like go to your friend and like rant about it. And be like, damn, like the other day, I like this person behaved that way just because blah, blah, blah. It's so annoying. I kid you not. Like, I'm so fed up with these people. And you want to talk to them because they're just, you know, they're your friend. And then you just, but are you like, sure, like maybe it was just because you said it in this way. Maybe it was just because you like, you know, you do come across like a little bit confident. Like usually they just don't believe you though with sexism. Where it's like, I know the difference. And honestly, like, you as a friend, I'm not asking you to, you know, play judge. I'm not asking you to throw that other person in jail or to make any social repercussions. You know, like, what is the cost of just accepting my reality in that moment and just being like, man, that sucks? You know, there's no cost to it. But it always is perceived as like, oh no, I can't. Like, only if it's really like 100% correct and proved and you have a whole study about this, then okay. But otherwise, no, impossible. And I think that's really sad, because that's not the point of it all. Hi, Killer Pie. How you doing? Welcome. I'm bad at giving emotional support though. Like, I will listen to your problems, even if they might annoy me. But my solution often doesn't really suit an emotional level, I guess. Emotional support essentially actually is not giving a solution. Like, this is what, like, there's like different kinds of support people need from you, right? Like, some people, like some friends come to you, they explain to you a situation and they want guidance, right? They want you to essentially give them like an opinion, like give them like an idea on what they could do. And they want to know like what they might have forgotten, what they can do, you know? Like, they essentially want like a second person's opinion to what would you do in my situation. But then there's the other emotional support where they just want to be seen. They know it's not something you can fix. They don't even expect you to fix it. Like, if I rant to a friend about sexism I go through, I don't expect them to fix it. Like, it's not something they can fix. And they don't need to give me a solution. And I think possibly actually because of this, because we get this wrong a lot of the time, what a friend is actually wanting from us in that moment. And I feel like these whole things of like, oh, just cover up more, or just, you know, like, don't go outside alone. These are guidance approaches to a topic which can't be fixed. But it's like, we don't know what to do in that moment. We don't know how to properly offer emotional support. So we try to fix that problem of the other person, even though it's nothing they can fix, you know, or you can easily fix. Emotional support oftentimes can just be, especially with things you can't fix, like I just said, is listening to that person and feeling what they feel. They want you to see what they feel. They want to be understood. And what it offers in that moment is that you yourself can get a little bit, you get sort of like reassurance. And that offers you safety. Because for a lot of the people who actually went through something like sexism, or like other things which are just unfair, but we can't really do anything about it, people ask for basically like a reality check in that moment, like low-key. Like, they don't want you to like openly give a reality check. But what we essentially do in that moment is like, this and this happened, I feel like this, am I crazy? Like, is this okay? And I feel like this is like a lot of the time this happens because we shame emotions a lot. We especially shame negative emotions. We shame the feeling of like feeling something is unfair, especially if it's about like a bigger system or like a bigger institution. Oh, sorry, the post. I think this is my crochet yarn. Ah! I bet it is. I hope it's everything. I don't know if it's everything. Anyway, which topic were we at? But yeah, so because we shame emotions so much, and because we shame especially the feeling of like something is unfair, in this, if an institution or system is unfair, we don't really we don't want to accept it, because if we live in a society where, for example, the law is not protecting us, if we live in a society where, for example, the most hardworking person doesn't get the highest paying job, if we live in an unfair society, that would leave us with the feeling of like deep unsafety. And this is natural. Like, it's natural to try to keep that away, because it would hurt your worldview so much. And a lot of the time, because we want to keep that away, and because our media is sort of low-key making propaganda, and not low-key, actually like not really low-key, making propaganda for capitalism and for this whole idea about like, if you work hard, you know, you get the best job. If you like, you can achieve anything depending on your work. Like, sort of like we maintain this idea that it's like the system is like fair and square, and it just depends on how much you put into it. And we shame people, like talk about the system like, oh yeah, and it's so unfair and you just don't get anywhere. We shame them because it's like, if we were to acknowledge that as a reality, then why would people basically like sacrifice their life for an office job? Choose to not see, like, to not do as much with their children. Choose to work instead of taking your parent off time. You know, like, why would people sacrifice so much to work if they didn't know it would pay off? And so we really try to keep this lie of capitalism being fair alive. And I feel like because it's so ingrained in our society today, it's something we, in that moment, we just don't notice how we turn to exactly these questions as well. How we question our friend if they have actually done enough. Maybe, you know, like business is not only about this and that. Like, I see that you did a lot here, but you need to know this is actually not unfair, because business is also about having good relationships to people and stuff, you know? And there's also actually a study where people tested and found out that we actually move goalposts a lot of the time. So for people applying for a job, for example, in the beginning, they had like a certain stat block of what the person who wants to be employed needs to offer to be like the perfect fit. And we noticed how the people who offered that job actually changed those criteria while they were already taking applicants to fit the applicant they actually wanted to have in that job. So, and in that specific case, it was, the difference was between men and women. And we noticed how the criteria at the beginning changed to fit the male applicant instead of the female applicant. So we don't want to say that we're sexist. We try to behave like we really want to believe in the fair system nowadays, but we're still biased. And I think in the emotional support we can offer, these insecurities really show. Because it's the same insecurities which show with, like, it's the same mechanism sort of, how insecurities with our kids show. And how we just sort of irrationally blow up sometimes, and how we put images and expectations on our kids which they never had and they never wanted to had. And how, for example, people sort of maintain the cycle of their parents to their kids. And what we can try to do to actually confront this and get out of this is really try to confront those insecurities. Like, if we really find out what we're insecure about, because like nobody likes to talk about insecurities. Nobody likes to find out how they are themselves not fair, how they are themselves biased. Nobody likes to confront these like really uncomfortable truths about themselves, and how we are, for example, still influenced by our parents, how we have some topics where we are a little bit irrational, because it's not only this moment which is on the scale, but it's actually also our childhood or an experience we had before which is also tipping the scale in that moment. And if we do try to confront them, and we don't need to fix them, we just need to be aware of them, actually. Because once we are aware of them, in that moment, we can acknowledge and we have the chance, actually, to notice what we are scared about in that moment. We have the chance to notice that, for example, if our kid has been fired again from another job and is still living at home with 25, then we might be scared to be socially judged by others, by other parents, as a bad parent. That we might be scared that our child will never have the future we envisioned, and that we have failed as a parent. That we have not raised a kid who will be independent and can really like provide for themselves, but that we raised a kid which needs help the entire time, which is societally bad. So that we're bad parents, and we don't want to acknowledge that. So that's why we try to correct it, but there's so much more on the scale in that moment. And that's why we're not able to actually find the best solution, but we use the answers and questions we have gotten from society for ages to also question and answer to our child in that moment, which is, for example, shaming that they don't do enough and telling them that the system is fair and they just need to work harder. And we say this with more and more sort of meaning to it because there's so much on the scale for us, because there's our own insecurity on the scale, which isn't about the child in that moment. Because if it were about the child, then we would act concerned. We would act sad. We would act worried. We would go to the child and sort of like when a little kid like hit its head, like we would act like this, like, oh my god, are you fine? Like, does it hurt? Is it okay? We would make sure they're okay, you know. But we don't act like this. We're like this hard wall, which is shaming our kid for like, yeah, well, you just need to work harder. We're giving like these easy answers, which absolutely fail the reality of this kid in that moment. And well, since we grew up with this, if we don't face these insecurities, we will give them on to our children and to our friends as well, to any close relationship we have in our lives. And that's also why before therapy, I was, and even still now, I'm sometimes a shitty friend. It sucks to say that. But yes, there are some topics where I can't stay impartial, where it's not the best to ask me, because there will be more on the scale. But because I know this, I can now communicate this. I can communicate it because before I just bash the head of my friend, I can just tell him like, oh, bro, like this topic, because I've gone through like specifically this and that situation, this is really close to heart for me. Like, I'm not fine with this because this matches up with the experience I had. And I can't stay impartial on this. And if we communicate this, then the friend can also already like sort of acknowledge like, okay, maybe I'm not gonna ask her on this. Like, she's not a bad person, like she wants to be there for me, but this is just like a really emotional and sensitive topic for her. And that's why she can't be there for me, because this is fine. Like, we can't be there for our friends for everything, and this is fine, because otherwise we wouldn't need therapists, right? Like, our friends could just go to like any other friend and get like the therapy they want, but in essence, we have limitations. We as friends have limitations. And this is why emotional support is actually not that hard than we think. Like, you say your own, like, I'm so bad at emotional support. And I don't want to like take that away from you. I think if that's your perception, I think you are. And I will believe you on this, but it's not something you can't change. Like, it's something where, for example, you can really try to find out like, okay, what am I insecure about in these moments? What do I feel in those moments? Like, do I have stress from somewhere? Which memory is maybe attached to that stress? What am I worried about? What am I scared about in that moment? And that's sort of like mostly how you find these insecurities, which are weighing on you in that moment. Which can also, for example, like a very classical thing, again, is the person who's depressed. But
頭痛。ああ、昨日飲みすぎて。どこだここ。なんだこれ。鎖？何この状況。お前を1億で買った。ああ、俺きっと臓器売買でもされてこれから死ぬんだ。俺の人生何一つ夢叶えられなかったな。悔しいというより虚しさしかない。遡ること1日前、行きつけのゲイバーにて、まさかリストラなんて10年働いてた会社だよ。しかも理由がさ、会社経営が厳しいまではわかるよ。ほら君独身だろ。すまないが分かってくれ。わからんから理不尽すぎる。もうその話100回目くらいよ。昨日から飲んでんだから。この不況下で就職活動なんて無理。もう生きる気力ない。あ、そうだ。そんな死ぬくらいなら。いや、まだ死ぬとは。この近くでオークションやるって。あなた出品してきたら。何も売れるようなものないよ。違うわよ。私を買ってくださいって。もらってください。はあ。あら、いいじゃない。ネタ枠優秀賞には好きや1年通い放題券あるって。いけるわよ、あなた。どうせこれから食いっぱぐれてくでしょ。さっさと準備なさい。いやほら、私が可愛くしてあげるから。出品番号23番、仮面の男さんです。なんとこちら、出品者ご本人が商品となります。決まりました。その額なんと1億。おめでとうございます。何起きてる。なんだっけ。まあもうどうでもいいか。バカだ俺。酔った勢いであんなことして。起きたな。最後のお願いだ。痛いのは嫌なんだ。まずい。いや、睡眠薬でもいい。俺の意識のない間にどうにかしてくれ。すみません。許してください。俺は。何を言ってるんだ。まあいい。いやー！遅い指。そうでもないか。それになんて華奢な腰。いや、案外どっしりしてるぞ。つまめるし。陶器のような透き通る肌。おお、これは合ってる。いいぞいいぞ。俺の相手にぴったりだ。何が。焦るな子猫ちゃん。今からお前の愛くるしく俺を求める人々。ご対面だ。あれ、愛くるしい。あわ。ああ、なるほど。悪くないチョイスだ。さすがじいや。おわ。平凡な顔というのは飽きないのだろう。実に日本人の平均的な顔立ちだ。気にするな。俺は気にしないぞ。俺、死ぬ前に惨めな気持ちにさせられてる。全く話が読めないのですが、私はこれからどうなるのでしょうか。なんだ、ジェイヤから説明を受けなかったのか。今日から俺の恋愛の練習台として、君は俺に変われたんだ。練習台？では、私が再度説明させていただきます。改めまして、私、坊ちゃまの執事でございます。 昨日開催されたチャリティーオークションで、ユウナギ様は私に競り落とされました。じゃあ、俺の1億円は？ですから、チャリティーのため、全額寄付済みです。そしてあなたと契約を結びました。いえ、知らないです。いいえ、署名していただいてます。こちらでございます。では、読み上げさせていただきます。坊ちゃまの恋愛練習を遂行する。契約終了条件は、坊ちゃまが恋愛に自信がつくまで。賃金の発生もしますが、契約解除した際に退職金として支払われます。この契約に違反した際は、1億円を賠償金とする。1億？しっかり坊ちゃまを恋愛教育できなかった場合は、わかってますよね。わかりましたか？俺は脅迫されている。恋人の練習って何？しかもあの羊さん、やたら小さいのおかしくない？なのにあの威圧か、悪魔か何かか？うわぁ、すごい視線感じる。怖い。そもそもこのイケメンな若者が恋愛練習だなんて、正確に何ありってことか。俺を選んだのだからゲイなんだろうが。でも若くてその顔面なら、それだけでなんとかなるだろうに。いや、もしかしたらこのイケメンは何か過去に罪を犯した。確かに体格もいいから暴力を振るわれたらひとたまりも。だとすると結局俺はボロボロになって死ぬってことじゃん。はい。
近道って言うんだってな。いい名前だ。
そうですけど。
だな。俺はリオだからよろしく。俺ゲイだけど、そういう経験とか、なくってだな。
ゲイセックスの練習がしたいとか？
そんなダイレクトに。
なるほど、童貞。
まあ、それもあるさ。で、君に見え張ったって仕方ないか。実は小さい頃さ、告白に失敗してから臆病になってしまって。そんなダサい自分を好きになる人に見せたくないし、今更この年で経験もないなんて言えないし、もう恋愛をどこから始めたらいいかって。それでジーヤに頼んで恋愛の練習相手になってくれる人が欲しいと頼んだんだ。そしたら君がうちに来てくれてさ。
なるほど。けど、俺の恋愛経験も教えられるほどの器量じゃ。
だから、君とはゆっくり恋愛の練習をお願いしたい。
ゆっくりは困ります。でもこの男が恋愛に満足したら、俺はすぐ解放されるんだよな。そんなの俺にできるのか？いや、もうやるしかないじゃん。だって脅迫されてるし。
最初はキスからかな。手繋ぐとこからかな。
俺よりずっと若くてイケメンだけど。でも経験は俺の方が上だ。童貞なんてセックスに慣れてしまえば恋愛にも自信持てるだろう。
第1回恋愛授業、どうだったかい、近道。
もうちょっと練習しないとだね。ここで合格させても羊に殺されるし。好きな子にあんなプレイしたら絶対ダメだよ。
はい。 たくさん練習して、これから近道のスーパー攻め様になるからよろしくな。
スーパー攻め？
知らないのか？ここに書いてあるんだぞ。見てくれ。
ああ、リオくん若いのに古い漫画読むね。
深夜がくれた漫画だぞ。そんなはずは。じゃあ、こっちの漫画はどうだ？
もしかして、それ参考にしてたの？
そりゃあもう、憧れるし。
なるほど。道理でおかしなセリフを。
かっこいいだろ？近道？
これから俺、どうなるんだろう。俺は今、脅迫されています。恋愛練習台として、かろうじて生きてますが。これは何らかの形で、俺の命がついえた時の備忘録として。先週、職を失った俺は、1億で買われ、羊付きのタワマンに部屋を与えられ生活することになりました。俺の飼い主のリオくんは日中仕事をしているようで、ただのお坊ちゃんじゃなかったんだ。AM9 時から PM5 時までは自由にしてください。就職先のデータはこちらを。その間は俺も自由時間を与えられました。ラスボスはこの人だと思ってます。今は転職活動を頑張ってます。坊ちゃまの生活スタイルに合う会社をリストアップしましたので、こちらからお選びください。受かるはずもないラインナップ。面接頑張ります。くれぐれもメインが恋愛教育というのをお忘れなきよ。今の俺はただの無職で。
君、独身だからリストラ対象で。
家もない。退去費用はすべてこちらで負担しましたよ。今まで住んでいた家も執事がご丁寧に解約してくれました。逃げたところで自分の居場所なんてない。自分で書いてて惨めになってきた。だから俺はリオくんが自信をつけるための恋愛の練習相手になることを条件にこの生活をしている。生活水準においては何不自由ない生活で充実して。本当に俺今充実してますか？朝。
おはよう、兄。
朝から駆動。
さあ、起きて一緒にブレックファストしよう。
うわ、朝からエッグベネディクト。食べ方難しそうだな。
食べる？
いや、結構です。
そうか。
そういえば、この間だって。面接中。
さあ、近道、ランチの時間だよ。
うわぁ、リオくん、ダメだよ。
そこのホテルでランチコースも予約してあるんだ。
散々な面接だった。
近道、ディナーへ行こ
う。リムジン？リオくん？こんな生活が続き。これがリオくんの理想のスーパー攻め様？これじゃただのくどい人だよ、リオくん。飼い主相手にスーパー攻め様を諦めろとは言えないし、坊ちゃまをよろしくお願いしますね。でも俺はリオくんに恋愛教育しなきゃならないし、 先行きが不安すぎる。契約書。坊ちゃまが恋愛に自信がつくまで恋愛教育を続けること。要約するとこんな内容です。前みたいにセックスしただけじゃこの契約は解消されないし、また俺から誘うのもな。一夜限りの恋愛しかしてこなかった俺には恋愛教育なんてもともと向いてないんだよ。そもそも恋愛ってどうするんだっけ。まずいよ。もう2週間何も進展していない。恋愛練習台としての存在意義。リオ君におすすめされた漫画しか読んでなかった。スーパーセメ様のなんかのやつ。抱き汗。無駄な知識だけが増えた。リオ君は誘ってくる気配もないし、そろそろあの羊に俺殺されるんじゃ。どうしよう。何かしら進展。
近光。
突然の進展来た。いいよ、その調子。リオ君頑張れ。
待たせだね、子猫ちゃん。君のその陶器のような肌が俺を求めてやまなかっただろ
う。もういい。それでもいい。
今宵は一緒に俺と深いところまで落ちていこ
う。それで手出していいんだよ。ねえリオ君、起きてるよね。こんな見てくればかりをバブリーにしたって恋愛の練習にもならないし、このままじゃ本当のスーパーセメ様なれるわけないよね。スーパーセメ様ってさ、オスとして圧倒的なフェロモン感じさせて相手の心を動かしてこそなれるんじゃないの？今の状態じゃ君が何をしたいのかもわからないよ。いや、だからね、スーパーセメにならなくてもいいんだよって。待ってよ。これからレクチャーしようとしたのに。いつものくどくどなプレイがない。おはようございます。朝食の準備に参りました。よいしょ。リオくんは？坊ちゃまは今日お仕事もすべてお休みするそうです。絶対昨日のあれのせいだよな。ユナギ様もめげずに坊ちゃまに教育してくださいね。根は優しくいい子なんですよ。ちなみに教育が失敗した場合は、その時ですね。やっぱり暗黒美少だ。頑張ってきます。入るよ。リオくん、おはよう。昨日は言い過ぎてごめん。
近光が謝る必要ない。事実だし。俺は、またあんな醜態を晒してしまって。 それで顔も合わせてくれないんだ。恋愛の練習するんじゃなかったの？
やっぱり俺には向いてないんだ。結局昔と同じことを繰り返すんだ。
恋愛ってさ、そういう情けない姿見せたっていいんじゃないかな。てか、ダメな先生でごめん。俺もこの通り平凡だし、相手として魅力がないから練習する気にならないんだろうけど。
そうじゃない。
リオくん。
俺、前に近道とエッチなことしたのが忘れらんなくって。君と一緒にいるだけでもう緊張しちゃってさ、すげえダサいよな。もう今も思い出しただけでも。
そうだったんだ。俺の前では無理しなくていいよ。素のリオくんで挑んでほしいな。また今日から一緒に恋愛練習頑張ってこう。てか、俺がリオくんのために頑張らなきゃだし。今日は、いやもう2週間も、下着だって気合い入れてんのにな。で、俺も見てくればかりで恋愛教育しようとしたって、ダメだよな。ほら、こんなの。
待って、心の準備が。
あはは、でも、練習するよね。
近道が相手でよかった。本気で恋愛練習したい。この前の経験が俺、全然活かせなくて、思い出して研究しようとしても、頭パーンってなってできなくてさ。でも今回はちゃんとものにしたいんだ。
いいね。
だからね、撮ってもいい？
は？
目にも焼き付けたいけど動画に残して勉強していきたいんだ。今後の復習とか参考のためにね。
まあ、恋愛教育の一環として。
そう！
それなら仕方ないよね。
ありがとう。最後の方音だけだ。
はは、よかったよ。俺の隣で繰り返し見ないで。
でも、ありがとう。
何が？
近道の頑張ってる姿見てたらさ、俺ももっと頑張らなきゃって思って。やっぱり諦めたくないし。スーパー攻め様。近道と一緒ならなれる気がしてくるよ。
よかったね。これで本当によかったの？どこ目指してるんだっけ？リオくん、今大丈夫？
本物の近道。
ごめん、取り込み中だった。
あの時のことをちゃんと今回は復習してて。ほら、データにもちゃんとまとめて。
そうなんだ。自分のエロ顔とか気まずすぎる。ごめん、部屋戻るね。
あれ、何か用事あったんじゃ。
この前撮った動画で復習してるのか。復習って何の？しかも 俺ってリオくんの前であんな顔してんの？いや翌日。よし、今日の面接は反応良かった気がする。執事さんにお願いして就職先のハードル下げてもらったから。そして本題の、今日こそリオくんのために恋愛教育を。昨日のリベンジ。さらに翌日。今日こそは。リオくん、入っていい？本物の近水。よかった。今日は見てなかった。くつろいでってくれよ。そうだ、近水に聞きたいことがあってね。このタイミングの時のことなんだけど。近光はこの時どういう気持ちで。リオくん、セックスだけが恋愛じゃないよね。もっとさ、恋愛勉強ならデートとか企画を考えてほしいなって思ってるんだけど。デート恋人同士っぽいな。俺さ、デートするの夢だったんだ。そうなんだ。もしよかったらこの本とか参考にしてもらっても。待って、まずは自分の力だけでやってみたい。初めてのデートだし。それに近道のために考えた最高のデートプランをさ、採点してほしいんだ。リオくん、俺めちゃくちゃ頑張るから。楽しみにしてるね。3週間後、デート当日。約束した日から随分経ってるけど、予約困難なレストランとかだったのかな。もしかして遊園地とか貸し切りしちゃったり。こんな服でいいかな。カジュアルすぎるかな。リオくんの考えることだから未知数だよね。そろそろ約束の時間だ。楽しみ。素敵な場所に案内したいという理由で目隠してどこかへ連れて行かれてます。サプライズ演出したいのかな。でもね、この状況、落札された日のことを思い出すんだよね。着きました。ユウナギ様、こちらの衣装にお着替えください。ドレスコードがあるお店なのかな。目隠し取るよ、近光。眩しい。何これ。なぜこんなことに。あそこだ、近光。危ない。これがリオくんの考える最高のデートプラン。そりゃあこんな大掛かりなセット作り3週間はかかるよね。きっとリオくんの中で流行ってる設定なんだろう。怪しい本にあったのかな。もう考えるの疲れちゃったよ。よく寝ちゃった。何これ。 囚われの姫をスパダリ勇者が助けに来る設定したいのかな。リオくんの考えてることだんだん分かってくる自分にも嫌気がさしてくる。そういえば似たような設定の本を借りた気がするよ。衣装もいつの間にかズタボロになってるし、しかも鎖。でもこれなんかエッチだよな。てかリオくんどこ行っちゃったんだろう。ユウナギ様。ああ、執事さん、どうもです。名前を呼んであげてください。坊ちゃん、ずっとスタンバってますよ。ああ、なるほど。すみません。リオくん、助けてー。
鹿光、待たせたね。
では、あとはよろしくお願いします。
鹿光、大丈夫だったかい？こんな姿に。
ええ、まあ、空調もいい感じに設定していただいたようで。
その潤んだ瞳が訴えるのは、サファイアの原石のようなその瞳からこぼれる水。選ばれし勇者の俺が、全て受け止めるから。
ああ、また、いつもの始まったね。
陶器のような肌を今夜は熱く溶かして、その先端が色づき、勇者はそれから姫を。
でも、ちょっと、なんていうか。
鹿光？
セックスだけが恋愛じゃないよね。この前自分からあんなこと言っちゃったし、どう？
鹿光も俺の前では無理しないで何でも言っていいんだよ。で、前に鹿光が俺に言ってくれた言葉なんだけどさ、こういう契約ってのは置いといて、今は二人だけだしさ。ね。
本当は外で普通に買い物したり遊んだりするデートちょっと楽しみにしちゃってたし。
鹿光。
それにね、密室で例えば好きな人と二人きりだったら抱かれたいって思うかも。
鹿光。
なんてね。お姫様だったらもっと可愛いこと言うかも。こんな格好初めてでさ、お姫様って大変だね。
ごめん、外そっか。
うん。このままでもいいかも。だって、早くリオくんに優しく触ってもらいたいし。
鹿光のその一挙一動に俺本気でときめいちゃってるんだけど、それって先生としての演技なのかな。
俺そんな演技できるほど余裕ないかも。
そっか。キスしてもいい？さて、リベンジデートプラン2。行こう、鹿光。
外でデートしたいって言ったこと覚えててくれたんだ。リオくんも少しはスーパー攻め様っぽくなってきたのかな。 攻め様。今日の面接、もう記憶がない。条件いい会社だったのに。紆余曲折、いろいろあったけど、昨日のデートがあまりにも良くって。手繋いで、なんてことない話して、甘いもの二人で食べたりして、遅咲きの甘酸っぱい思い出。近道といると俺幸せなんだ。やっぱり近道とは本気で付き合いたい。好きだから。うん。こんな経験初めて。今まではワンナイトラブにセフレにまで捨てられまくり人生。恋愛授業ってどうなるんだろう。坊ちゃまの自信がつくまでお願いしますね。でもリオくんと付き合ってるってことは、今のリオくんにはもう恋愛練習なんていらないよね。リオくんかっこいい。付き合って。でも契約解消しちゃったら。近道ありがとう。筆下ろしさせてくれて自信がついたよ。俺たち幸せになるから。って感じに。やっぱりいつものように捨てられるのかな。次の授業が最後かもな。リオくん、今日の恋愛授業なんだけど。ああ、待ってたよ。近道先生の授業。実はね、ジーヤの秘密の部屋から DVD が見つかって、近道と一緒に勉強したいなって。一緒に見よう。うん。鑑賞中だけど、ちょっといいかな。もちろん。リオくんさ、この前俺に告白してくれたじゃない？ああ。俺たち付き合ってるんだよね。だから俺たち、この先は。それは。はあ。森の奥の白い教会で、それよりも純白な君のベールに包まれた、ウェディングが、小鳥のさえずりが祝福して、また変なスイッチ入っちゃったな。そうじゃなくてさ。そうか、後悔。俺だけ真剣に考えてたのかな。今、この授業って何のため？リオくんといつか付き合う誰かのための恋愛授業。ごめん。なんか、そういう気持ちになれなくて。今日は早めに授業終わるね。近道。近道おはよう。俺、もういない？
ユナギ様は朝から面接に向かわれました。
そっか。近道、今日の授業は。ごめん。なんかお腹壊して。今日も体調良くないので早く寝ます。授業は、また今度お願いします。近道、恋人なのになんで避けるんだ。もしかしてこれはスーパー攻め様の試練だな。近道先生からの卒業試験だったり。そうか、わかったよ近道。きっと原因はあれだな。目標が決まればあとはやるだけだ。オーケー、頑張ろう。大好きな近道のために。近道殿、愛しの君へ、今晩丸抜で会いましょう。 リオより。
またなんか勘違いしてそうだな、リオくん。でも避けてばっかいてもどうしようもないし、最後の思い出に。
近光好きだ。どうでしょうか、近光。俺のリベンジ告白。この前のが地味でスーパー攻め様っぽくなかったのがダメだったんだよね。あれ、違う？
ほんと不器用で一生懸命で可愛いんだよね。こうして頑張ってるリオくんがスーパー攻め様とか関係なく好きなんだよな。だからこそ捨てられる前に、傷が浅いうちに、どうせいつか捨てられるなら。ねえリオくん、先生としての助言なんだけど、俺以外のことあったりしてみない？きっと世界変わると思うんだ。
近光、俺のこと嫌いになったの？
違うよ。でも
俺、近光とじゃなきゃ恋愛したくない。
それは今は俺しか見えてないからだよ。もっとちゃんとした素敵な人世の中にいるから。
こんなに恋人を不安にさせてたなんて、彼氏として資格ないかもだし、それに俺こんな性格でスーパー攻め様になれてないし、いつか近光に捨てられるんじゃないかって毎晩怖いけど、俺が近光を選んじゃダメ。
ごめんね。捨てられるんじゃないかって不安なのは俺だけかと思い込んでた。でもリオくんもだったんだね。恋人同士ってさ、二人で悩み解決してってもいいのかな。
俺にその資格があるなら。こんなダサくてスーパー攻め様見習いの俺だけど、これからも付き合ってくれますか？
俺もリオくんと一緒にいたい。ごめん、リオくんの股間部分どうなってるのかと。これは何？
近光も巨根じゃないと嫌だろ。だから大きくなるように器具つけてて。だからね、俺頑張ったんだ。
何を？
シントレ。
嘘で、ごめん、笑っちゃって。
やっぱり小さいの嫌だったんだね。俺本当に練習して、だから前より大きくなったって思うんだけど。
そっか。俺のために頑張ってくれてありがとう。ああ、さてはAV の影響か。やたら巨根がとか言ってたもんな。さ、リオくん。その格好、ちょっとエッチかも。ねえ、確かめてみてもいい？
俺の頑張り、近光に感じてほしい。
夕凪様、お疲れ様です。やり遂げましたね。坊ちゃまの表情からもわかりますよ。それはもう自信に満ち溢れて。 これでもう恋愛の先生は必要ないですね。つまり、この契約も終わりでございます。坊ちゃまには次のステップへ行っていただきますので。
Doesn't want to show it. If you're depressed and a person, like it's no coincidence that if you're depressed, like feeling numb is a very classical thing. And not only the feeling of numbness, but also not being able to properly give emotional support and being a shitty friend. Because if any person comes to you in that moment and talks to you about like negative situations and like how they feel like really bad about themselves and how the world is pissing them off and like really like topics where you yourself have similar feelings, it's gonna bring up those feelings. And especially if you're depressed, there's a high chance that you suppress those feelings and try to keep these feelings suppressed at all times. You don't want to feel them. And a lot of the time it has to do with the fear of feeling like they're gonna overwhelm you and you can't deal with them. But it's specifically this is making you shitty friend at that moment, because what they want is they want to feel seen. They want to see that you feel what they feel. And if you can't feel what they feel because you need to suppress those emotions, because you don't have the space for them and you might feel overwhelmed by them, or that you do feel what they feel, but you are actually overwhelmed from them, and you don't have space for them anymore, then you can't give emotional support in that moment. And sometimes this can still end up well if you communicate how you feel overwhelmed, if you communicate that you have exactly this fear. Like you can actually use those feelings to tell them how much you understand them, because this hits home to you. But you need to be able to feel those emotions in that moment. Because we naturally don't believe people who don't feel the things we feel. Like if somebody is running out of a building on fire and there's a person going towards that building, or like standing close to that building, and you tell them like, oh my god, the building is on fire, like run, whatever, and that person's just saying like, okay. You don't think they get it, because you don't see that they reciprocate your emotions. And this is sort of like the same mechanism around emotional support. Like the emotional support, the person needs to see that you feel their emotions. And you don't need to be overwhelmed by them, but you need to be able to feel them. And I think if you can do that and still be there for that person, while like just feeling these emotions, just being like, but I'm here for you, and we are gonna be able to do this, and it's gonna be fine. And when you, for example, can give like a little bit of guidance even, but in like a soft form where you're like, I've been there too. Like last year I was really, really depressed and I thought the world is about to end, but it didn't. I feel your pain, but it's gonna be fine. It can get better. And I'm gonna help you because I see you. Then this is really good emotional support. But there needs to be some type of empathetic resonance. Är det T-Rex var det before så länge mål. No, the tea wasn't molding before, so I made tea. I made lots of tea. And then I just let it stand there. And now it tastes odd. Because, like, in my opinion, that person who's asking this basically wanting to hear something specific and is not really interested in my honest opinion. I don't know, it depends. There's some people who do ask it as like a reality check. But it definitely depends. The person that asked me, I think, obviously wasn't content with the answer, even though it had a positive connotation, in my opinion. Maybe. Like, they definitely, like, yeah, they weren't content, but I'm not sure that they didn't like what was said, but maybe it just wasn't like enough, sort of like maybe there was something missing they liked to hear. Maybe it was more like also sort of like trying to test the ground if none of them actually likes them and stuff like this, you know? And they were disappointed and it was more like a professional answer. Like, there's many different reasons why, and that's why we need to just ask. We need to just be open about it and speak up. Just need to, like, tell the other person, like, oh, you seem disappointed. Like, it's like, do you want to hear something else? You know, we can show that insecurity, and it's gonna make the communication better. Now, bye, Panda. I think you're probably already gone. But in hindsight, which is 2020, wait, what? I don't know if she wanted some kind of confirmation. Her appearance from me, which were really baffled me, but I have people who told me that she behaves differently. You can just ask. You can also still ask. Like, if it happened in 2022, okay, maybe not still. But like, if it's like a week ago or something, and it's still on your mind, like, you can, like, technically, even if it's 5 years later, if it's still on your mind, you can still ask. It's like, it's no big deal to ask for clarification. I can run really fast. What do you mean? What? I don't understand what? No. There was scissors here, and now they're gone. Okay, anyways, done. Haha. Look at this purple. I'm not good at talking to people, especially if other people set up in my mind that they are interested in me or like me. Just doesn't work. Thing is, I'm always extra careful for I land on some kind of list. I can understand, but you can still, like, you can just articulate what you saw, right? Like, you can say, like, oh, like, you seem disappointed in my answer. Is, you know, like, did you expect something else? Or, like, what did you want to hear, you know? You don't need to like answer already with thinking like, oh, they love me. Because that would, I mean, there's also very different explanations for this, right? Well, crochet wool, like yarn, can be anything. But I want to make plushies. I want to make big plushies. So I got really thick yarn. Oh my god! Wow. Oh my god, you see how it's shining? It's literally shining in my face. Can you see this? This is light. You can't tell me our world is magic if yarn is like, can do this. Our world is seriously magical. Like, you can't... Excuse me? Even this one... Look at this. See how blue it is? Like, oh my god. Even this one. It's basically, it's casting a shadow, basically. Loki, you see that? Damn. This is so cool. I'm a little bit underwhelmed by the orange, though. I don't know if you can see, but it doesn't look like this on camera. Like, it doesn't look like this in real life, like it does on camera. But the idea is, I have red, I have orange, I have yellow, I have green, I have blue, and then I have purple. See? And then I can make pride plushies. And not only this, but... Ooh, no! But not only this, but... I have by pride. And not only this, but... Hehe. Also trans pride. So this is, yeah. Oh, I can't wait, so many. And then I have black for like eyes and stuff like this. But like... Look at these. I am gonna make rainbow plushies. And pride plushies. I cannot wait. Aha. So now I need to store them somewhere, because technically I wanted to make this shelf already done, but I didn't. Like you can clearly see, I didn't. Now I need to have them in my cupboard drawer. I mean, this is not gonna fit. No, it doesn't fit, guys. It doesn't fit. Okay, maybe. So technically this doesn't fit, but I made it fit. Oh my god. I'm so excited. Guys, I want to show you my jellyfish I'm crocheting right now. And then we're gonna come back to mental health. Okay. So it's not done yet. But this is sort of like the idea. Isn't this cool? Oh no, I lost something. But yeah. Like it's gonna be a little bit like more spread out here at the bottom. But yeah, this is my jellyfish. It's gonna get like, this is gonna get like even bigger. But yeah, that's sort of like the idea. Yeah. I really love this. I think this is so cool. But this takes so long, by the way. These ruffles, oh my god. You have no idea. Like the circumference here where I started is around like nearly like 50 stitches. And I had to make 3 stitches in every stitch, so that's like 150 stitches. And then I needed to make a second row, so that's more like 3 stitches in every stitch again. So we're at 450, like we're not at, because I haven't finished it, I'm only at like half. But that's like 450 stitches. And I might even make it like one bigger, which would then be 1,350 stitches. But I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that. But yeah. This is so cool, right? Kinda. But yeah. So we have a lot of thingies here. This is one of them. This is the other one. This one's actually like seriously a bit tight. But anyways, one of those. And this one, also 2-colored. I don't know if that's able to be seen, but it's 2-colored. And then we have blue and some more of those. And then one more of this one. And then we have one of these. This one is also 2-colored. Can you see? Yes. I'm gonna maybe make a bit more. I think I'm gonna put them in the drawer. It's fine. made them fit. I mean, I could, but there's also social anxiety, and I'm probably not going to see her again unless the stars align in an extraterrestrial event, which only comes around every 1K years. I mean, you don't need to, of course. But just keep it in mind for next time then. That just... I don't know, I had really like a few great outcomes from just asking that person in that moment that like the body signals I see, sort of. And just asking them what's up. Because there's a lot of people who just need like this tiny nudge to open up. They sort of like, they only need the... to feel that they're seen, you know? And then that's enough for them to open up. So yeah. But there's lots of different wool. You just saw some of the wool I have. Like this one, for example, is like way thinner. But even this one is already like thick wool. Like there's some which is like way thinner. Just like a normal, really normal yarn, essentially. Guys, do you want to talk about something specific? Or is there anybody else who wants to take part in a mental health check-in? Or is there maybe just still need to talk? Actually, Nadim, you haven't really shared how you feel, do you? You sort of shared how with your back and all, and that your sleep schedule isn't too fine. But not really how you feel. Ooh, Needs a lot of adjustments though, okay. But interesting. Actually, we were about to watch the 4th season of Critical Role yesterday. But then we saw it's like only for members of their like YouTube channel. So we then continued the 2nd season instead. Yeah. Okay. I think like maybe they're gonna like make it public like later or something. And then I'm gonna watch it too. I can't wait that like haven't they like published some video about like a like another animation series of theirs coming out? Oh, that must be amazing though. Like I feel like that's so cute. That must be really fun. Wait, was it 4 AM? Jesus Christ. Yeah. But it still takes a bit, right? I thought. As far as I'm concerned, at least. But I saw the trailer on Instagram, I think. Yeah. True. I think January. But I'm not sure. But I thought it was like next year. So that's why I think like if it's like December or January, then must be January. Because I thought I saw like 2026. And then I was like, oh damn, okay, it's gonna take a while. Also, I think I've seen that trailer like, I don't know, already like a month ago or something. So when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, yeah. And then like, okay, it's gonna take ages. But yeah. To me today, I still feel exhausted. I feel like I don't know, not really mellow or anything. Well, like I guess like a tiny bit mellow, but just mostly exhausted because of yesterday, because of the protest. How I feel. I would like to say good, but talking with my friends always gives me a lot to think about in good and negative ways. I procrastinate a lot these days, which I really hate. So it's a mixed bag from everything, and I don't know where to start. Will you take time to sort of think all those things through and process them? Because I can imagine when tomorrow already your course starts, even though it's only like twice per week, you still only have like a week of vacation, right? And then you start working again. Like, I feel like maybe the last week of vacation could be like a good week to sort of try to put a system in place which helps you achieve your goals. Like, for example, procrastinating less. Or whatever your friends talked about with you. I really want to make a habit out of stuff I clearly don't do, I slacked off in doing. Have you thought about those goals in detail? Because I noticed that a lot of the time when I'm not really doing something or like slagging off in goals, it's not just because I'm not determined or not like driven or whatever, but it's usually either because I'm not standing fully behind it, and I'm sort of like, well, okay, it's one of three things. So the first thing is I don't stand fully behind it. I don't fully believe in it. Like, it's something where like society tells me I should do it, or like somebody else told me I should do it, or I tell myself I should do it, but I don't like fully stand behind it or believe in it. And like, it's something where basically, like, for example, like society told me, like, or I don't know, like, for example, going to the gym. Like, back then it was like a lot of the time it was sort of like, oh yeah, well, I should go to the gym. But it wasn't like I personally have like a goal which I want to achieve. And like, I just wasn't fully behind it. I was like, well, there's like other things I like to do more than this. And like, yeah, I guess I should be like healthy, but like, I don't know. And I feel like it helped me to sort of like redefine, because then back then it was also like a lot combined with the looking like you go to the gym instead of the going to the gym because it's healthy. And now I sort of, because I properly thought about those goals, I could adjust them to goals which I actually want to achieve. For example, go to the gym because I want to be fit and I want to be able to do the things I want to in that spontaneous moment without having to train 6 months up to it, sort of. So that's sort of the first thing that I like. I don't know, I just wasn't fully behind the goals, and it was only the slack should. And I just wrote this down so I don't forget. The third thing is getting caught up in coping, sort of, which is usually like a sort of like can be a combination with the third one. Because the third one is that I'm like actually physically exhausted. Like I'm not only like physically, like with the gym it like demands physical exhaustion. But that I'm just like exhausted in whatever resource I need for this goal. And that's why I don't achieve it. Because it's just like I don't know, like I'm already done. I can't do this on like many days. And then I don't have the space to do it, so then I don't do it. It's sort of like setting myself up for failure because I have this goal in mind, but I don't help myself to be in the position to actually achieve it. So for example, it was like with the streams, if I have like Monday and Thursday, the like mental health check-in streams, I still sort of have time to maybe do a podcast on like one day, but I'm not actually sure right now. Like it could be the case that if I were to make the goal now to like make like a podcast episode, that I don't have the emotional and social sort of like, or I don't know, emotional and spiritual maybe, I don't know, energy to do it while maintaining something I'm doing already. And then either my stream is gonna fall off or I just won't achieve that goal. And so that's sort of like one of the reasons I just missed many goals, but I wasn't like aware of it. So I was just like beating myself up for not achieving the goal, even though I was in like no position, or like I didn't give myself the position to actually achieve that goal. And the second thing is sort of like getting caught up in coping, which can be connected to being like exhausted, but it doesn't necessarily mean to be exhausted in that specific resource you need to achieve that goal. But I think it's usually sort of like being being exhausted generally. Like if you have like one part of life where you're like really exhausted in that moment, I feel like doing something else and like putting your mind up to something is like just way harder. And especially when I'm like unhappy with something else in my life, which I can't really fix in that moment, then for me it can happen that I just somehow get like caught up in coping. That I, for example, just spend way more time on social media, that I watch too many series, that I game too much, that I like sort of like these things, like these are very common coping things. And that can, for one, be that I'm like exhausted and then it has to do with free, right? But I feel like sometimes it can also just be a sort of like habit, like that I slowly sort of slipped into being on social media way too long. And it's sort of like low-key, like an addictive behavior. So it's like a negative coping thing I do, where the coping thing itself is draining my energy to then do the thing I want to do. So for example, social media always seems like, oh, fun, so many nice videos, blah, blah, blah. But I feel personally, if I spend like a lot of time on social media, I don't have much motivation anymore or like determination to do anything else. I also feel low-key exhausted because it's just like so many things. So it's sort of like being overstimulated. And the main thing about like social media and gaming and watching series or like just consuming any type of content is that you feel good while doing it, and you only feel bad if you sort of like don't do it and then conflict with not spending the time on something else. Which sort of makes it really hard to connect it to the thing you're doing, because like, I don't know, like noticing that you're, for example, exhausted from social media, I feel like is a really hard thing to actually get, because usually you just, I don't know, you feel like really fun on like a lot of fun on social media, and then you're not on social media anymore, and then you beat yourself up because you have been like lazy all day or whatever, and then you maybe regret being on social media because you haven't like achieved anything. Like possibly that's a connection you make, but you don't really notice how you're exhausted from actually being on social media. But you, like, to me at least, I always felt like, oh, I'm just exhausted in general. It's probably just like a bad time. Like maybe I'm just depressed right now. But I didn't get that actually consuming so much content, for example, by social media, for example, by series, for example, by gaming so long, and doing that in a way where I don't do it just to the point where it's fun, but I also sort of like just keep scrolling and just keep playing. Like even though, for example, I'm tilted the fuck out and I just keep playing. Like if I did it to a point where it's like an addicting, like addiction sort of cycle where it's like you want to do it, but you don't, like there's negative impacts from it, but you still keep doing it, and it's that cycle that just like repeats and repeats and repeats. That's sort of also something where then I noticed, okay, I don't get anything done. But it's essentially like draining myself through like some kind of addiction, which is like harder to spot because it's anything like related to content where you like get dopamine while doing it, and it's not as like socially negatively connotated. And these are sort of like the things which for me can stand behind it. And I don't know, like essentially what I'm trying to get to is not just, oh, do this, whatever, like change your life, but this is not necessarily something you should like, I don't know, like beat yourself up for. Like, I don't know, it's usually for me, it's not just, oh, I'm lazy. And I don't know, like if you have this, but I had like a lot of sort of like I blamed myself a lot for not doing things I wanted to do and procrastinating. And I neglected to see the context of why I didn't do those things and why I wasn't able to do those things. Like I didn't give myself, like I didn't understand myself, and I didn't try to understand myself either. I was just sort of like, yeah, lazy. You're just like lazy, bad human, whatever. And this sort of like beating yourself up, to me, only made it harder. Because it's basically like in these three categories, it's like pushing you more into them. Like if it's because you're exhausted, it like beating yourself up makes you more exhausted. If it's because you wasn't like fully behind it, it's like it's not challenging your reasoning or giving you the space to maybe make a different goal, because that would be the lazy talking, right? And you don't do that. So it also doesn't make you available to this. And then with coping, it's probably going to push you more into coping as well, because it makes you like feel shitty about yourself. And that's sort of like the cycle, which I was pushing myself into. So I just sort of wanted to get to the point, like, please don't. I don't know. I don't know, but this is exactly like sort of like if you say like, but working on it all is hard, you know, I would like to say I'm comfortable with where I am, but whenever I confront myself with stuff I dislike to do, I easily find a way to swim around it. So I kind of need to make it necessary for me instead of I could do it. Making it necessary is also applying more pressure. Like more pressure is more exhaustion. More pressure is less grace to redefine, like less space to redefine goals. More pressure also pushes into coping and addictions. I don't think beating yourself up is a good way to solve it. And I think it's maybe disconnecting from yourself. Because there's a reason why you don't do them. And I don't know, I don't see it represented in your answers. What I see represented in your answers is a lot of judgment about yourself. And blame. But like, you know, maybe you are in a position where you didn't set yourself up for success and you want something for yourself. Like you want to achieve a goal which in this constellation you have is not sustainably achievable. Or maybe you don't even really like that goal, but it's just something where you feel like you have to do it. For example, could be like for me it was this like lose weight, get fit. Like I wasn't fully behind that because it wasn't really my priority, but I felt like I had to do it. And also with the coping, it's like with the coping and sort of like addiction or addictive behavior types, it's like it takes energy to get out of that. And it takes different goals to then be able to achieve other, like your initial goal. Because, for example, that would mean cutting down on social media as a goal first, before trying to achieve that other goal, to sort of like make energy for that other goal. Yeah, I get what you mean. I probably have to evaluate why I want to do things in the first place, or why I want to do them, if it is for me or for other people, for example. Yeah. I think really finding out what you want to do is hard. But it really helps with this, I think. And especially because like in the process of trying to like find out what goals you actually want to achieve, if you incorporate a plan sort of how you will achieve them, and sometimes it can help to see this from like a third person perspective. And for example, be like, okay, like what, like if Leah would be here and she would like, I would tell her, okay, I want to achieve this, this, and this, and sort of like, what would she say is the plan for it? Like, because you need the energy for it. Or like whatever friend of yours, like maybe your friend would tell you like, but you didn't change anything else. Like how, like where are you gonna get the energy for this? You know, like sometimes taking it from that third person, really practical approach and being like, okay, this is human. Human works like this. Human has this much energy. I want human to achieve these goals. What do I need to do that human achieves these goals? Okay, human needs to, I don't know, like change this goal for that other goal. Human needs to, I don't know, take a cut from that energy expenditure to have energy for this. And like stuff like this, you know? To sort of think about like, actually like, how are you gonna do this without making it hard? you know? Because you just, like, just praying to have more energy and just being like, well, I haven't been able to do it the last 6 months or something, but now I'm just gonna man up and do it. Like, this is toxic. And we do this way too often. We just sort of like beat ourselves up and are like, yeah, but now I'm just gonna have the determination. Just like all of a sudden it changed. You didn't do anything. You didn't change anything. You're literally sort of like making fun of yourself. You're looking down on yourself the last 6 months in that moment. Because the moment you say like, oh, well, but now I'm gonna do my goal. Like, I'm gonna achieve it like just now, you know, like now I'm gonna have the determination. So the last 6 months where you haven't achieved that, but still had that goal, so you didn't have any determination? Were you weak? Were you just stupid? Were you like, why, you know, like if it's now so easy, like you could have easily done it 6 months ago and you didn't. It doesn't show the struggle of actually achieving something and how it can take energy and how apparently something in the constellation didn't work out because otherwise you would have achieved it. I feel like it's so easy. Like we really want to believe that things are easy. And at the same time, we believe in this like grind mindset. But the funny thing is we have these, for example, fitness influencers who are like, no, like being fit is hard work. You need to show up every day and like do it every day. But they say it in a way where it's like, you just need to put your mind to it. You just have to find the determination. You just have to have the willpower. It's that easy. You just need to decide you go to the gym every day. They don't show that for going to the gym, you have 1.5 hours or 2, whatever, how long you go. You have these less on that day. Like something, you have to sacrifice something. You have lived your life that way, and now you want to have 2 extra hours every day. What will you sacrifice for achieving that other goal? What will you change? Because something will have to change, because you have a limited energy. You have limited time. You have limited money as well. If you, for example, want like a private chef or something, you're probably gonna have to sacrifice something for that. Except you're like super rich or whatever, which, okay, considering the example as private chef is probably the case, but you know what I mean? Like you haven't done a bad job just because you didn't get the results so far. You haven't been lazy. You haven't been just inconsistent and didn't put your mind to it. You haven't been weak. You haven't been, you know, like all these things, like a loser or whatever, like all these things you say to people who don't achieve their goals and get stuck. But you haven't set yourself up for success. Lifting rocks is for losers. What is lifting rocks? On Alarm, we play this little card game where you get questions to get to know each other, and after one of these questions, the whole group looked at me and was like, you know, you shouldn't make yourself so dependent on the opinions of other people. And I was like, oh, yeah. But that's good information to get, even though it hurts. But it's definitely like, to achieve something, it's like, you need to you can't neglect what it takes to achieve what you want to achieve. For example, with therapy, it's the same. Like, if you want to achieve to be mentally healthy, you're gonna have to put in the time for therapy. You not only have to put in the time, you have to put in the energy. You need to show up to therapy and you need to be vulnerable in that moment, be honest, talk about everything. And you're gonna feel like shit after therapy, and then next week you need to come again. And it's something where other things lack in that moment. It's something where you need to change things to change your life. And it's not, I don't know, we can't neglect the effort something takes and just be like, oh, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna run a marathon just like that. No, you need to like actually change your life. You need, all of a sudden now you need to like train running and stuff like this and use time to train running. So maybe it's like 1 day per week, it's less to, I don't know, meet with friends or game or something. And it's like, it's really annoying, but there's only a limited time in your day and you need to choose and pick what you actually want to do with it, because you can't do it all. And if you don't do that, you can't really judge yourself that things fall off the plate, because there's only this limited time. So you need to prioritize. And if you don't actively prioritize, you're still going to end up doing some things and not end up doing other things. But it's sort of going to be like low-key random. So, yeah. How are you, Destroyer? Do you want to take part in a mental health check-in? Jesus Christ. This was way harder to open than I imagined. But yeah. We always have on Monday and Thursday at 12, or we sort of started with the schedule. We're seeing how it turns out. But we always have mental health check-ins here, and you're welcome to use them to tell us about how you feel. If it's good, then good. And if it's not good, you can also talk to us, and we're here for you and we listen. Just like when I knew I wanted to do the hike in Norway, I started training for it. And during this time, I really didn't participate in a lot of stuff I did otherwise. But I knew what I didn't have the time for everything, so I prioritized my training for that above the other things. Exactly. So you see that you, like, if you decide on something, and if you stand behind it, and if you acknowledge how much it takes to actually do it, and set yourself up for success by making time to train and stuff like this, you do the things and you don't procrastinate. So it turns out, after all, you're not just lazy and need to start doing the things. But you probably have bad goals. Yeah. Every time I open these like ginger shots, it's like they smell good. Like this ginger strawberry, like this one especially, this smells so good. And then you taste it, and in the beginning it's like, oh, so fresh and nice. And then 1 second later it's like, oh, ginger so much, oh my god. It's always the same. I don't know. It never turned like normal or anything. I don't like the aftertaste of these shots. You mean the burning sensation in your entire mouth and and neck? Wait, that's not the neck. Throat. Exactly. I was like considering for a second, like, what? As if I don't know this. But yeah, I usually don't drink them the entire time. Because like, yeah, it's not pleasant to drink them. But I do it right now because I feel like now is the time where our bodies need to adjust from like summertime to wintertime. Like it's getting colder. We not only our body, right, but also our minds. Saying this actually reminds me of something, because I was about to say, our minds also need to adjust to it, because we, for example, underdress and just don't wear enough because we underestimate the temperature or the wind or the rain, or we haven't checked for rain because we're not used to it raining the entire time, because we're like, well, we come from summer, like it's not raining the entire time and stuff like this. So this is a huge adjustment, and I feel like because it's such a huge adjustment, so many people get sick, because just more people like go outside if it's cold with like too little clothes, or just don't really take the time to give their body proper time to rest, even though there's a lot of change with the temperature and the vitamin D and stuff like this as well. Like getting less vitamin D also makes you more easier sick and stuff like this. So I don't know, I feel like I'm trying to give myself a little grace and trying to see how much this actually is for my body, because this is, it takes time to adjust from summer to winter. It's like, and I see it how my mentality needs time to adjust as well. I'm like, oh, it's summer, and there's like, oh my god, it's like shitty weather again. And this is how affected my mentality is, because I'm pissed off about all the rain and stuff like this. And I don't even acknowledge how much probably my body is affected by it. And we usually don't do this. We usually just see ourselves as, well, we have a house, and in the house we can make it as warm as we want, and it's why we don't need to care. But we do need to care. Like, this is a big deal. Like, we should really see our bodies for what they are. Like, we can't, we expect so much of them for not, and at the same time we don't acknowledge the work it takes. It's really insane, I feel like, how we sometimes treat our bodies. I don't know. So this is why now, before I get sick, I just started taking these ginger shots. I started taking vitamin C, stuff like this. And I actually, the funny thing is, my grandma knows better. And a lot of older people actually know better about this. Like, they know that at this time of the year, they're most commonly getting sick. They don't want to get sick, especially because so many others get sick as well. That's elevating the chances insanely much, right? So, but they know this, and they just once the time comes and they feel like, oh, okay, people start getting really sick, they just take vitamin C every few days. They just eat really healthy. They put on really warm clothes, make sure they're not cold, stuff like this. They drink enough. They won't wash hands a little bit more thoroughly, maybe. My grandma, for example, she's taking some homeopathic thing, whatever, and it doesn't really matter if you're a fan of homeopathy, or is that the word in English? I can't imagine, or not. The point is, people do something to actually prevent getting sick because they have gotten to the pattern of this. But I feel like, especially if you're young, nobody talks to you about this actively and explains to you from summer to winter, that change, really exhausting for the body, really exhausting for your psyche, and so many others get sick. Don't wait till you're sick. Buy some ginger shots, take some vitamin C, cuddle up warm, do the things you need, which are good for your body, maybe take some extra change clothes outside, so you actually have the right clothes for the weather and stuff like this, to not get sick. This is what you do to not get sick. You don't just hope and then you're like, oh fuck man, I'm sick again. But you act preventative. Now more the whole ginger on my tongue after the good other taste vanishes. Same with chamomile. Chamomile. Chamomile tea. No, I know what it is, I just can't speak. I like the smell on the first sip, but then it's yep, that is chamomile. Damn, okay. I actually started liking it. I hated these type of like herbal teas, like these healthy herbal teas back then, but now I actually like them. I got one which has like this one plant, brennesselte, and in English it's called stinging nettle. And I have like a combination of like stinging nettle with something birch, I think birch flowers or something, I don't know. And I think maybe chamomile. And it's actually really good. I don't know. I started drinking chamomile tea at therapy the entire time. At the beginning, I was drinking like a herbal tea, with like mint and sweet root. Is it called sweet root? I don't know. And then I went over to no, before that I was at like lemon green tea, and yeah, now I'm at chamomile. Mint and fennel. Fennel? Absolutely no. That one's still disgusting. Oh my god. Nah. That's not fine. Like mint? Yeah, mint really nice. Like peppermint, like sweet root, also really nice, I think. Fennel, no. No. Nine. Oh. My whole body gets like goosebumps. But yeah. By the way, I wanted to give you one tip, because I really liked it to actually figure out like proper goals and stuff like this, to really make like an appointment with yourself, essentially, where you're like the manager of your life, you know? You're like a good boss. And then you like take down a paper and you know like what goals you are, and then like you like for this month, and you do this like once per month. And then you like basically like prioritize these goals, like which are the most important, which are less important. And then you're like more likely to do the important things and less likely to just do the like shitty things instead of the important things, because you're like actively making choices here, right? And then you can make like specific goals, because like those goals are then in front of you on paper, right? And I personally, if I have something in front of me on paper, I take it more seriously. Like it's way easier for me to look at the goal and be like, but what is my plan? And if I then only come up with like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna do it, I'm like less able to kid myself with this idea, because I'm more like in like this logical mind where I'm like, okay, so this is, that's a goal. Okay, actually, I'm gonna do it on these and these days. What have I been doing in the past like weeks on these days? Like, do I think I'm gonna have the energy for this? Okay, I'm not sure. How could I make sure that I do have the energies on these days? Okay, I'm gonna make this and that. Like, it makes it easier to be like in that logical space where you don't give yourself bullshit or random things. Yeah. And yeah, just doing it actively with like an appointment where you actually actively think about this is already half of the entire effort. And I noticed that like the more you do this, the easier it actually gets. And at some point you're just like, at the beginning of the month, you're like, okay, actually, like for the next month, I'm gonna have like these two goals come like directly to mind, which I want to do. And then like, okay, and for the third goal, I'm gonna wait, see what the month brings, sort of. Like, it gets like easier to notice which goals are good or bad goals, which goals you actually want to do, to formulate goals which make sense and you stand behind and stuff like this. Good number, by the way, for goals per month is 3 big goals. Because don't like plan your entire time for one certain goal, please. Like plan that you will be exhausted from doing it one session and then need recovery time, and that you still want to meet friends, that you still want to be able to maybe have like do something spontaneous and stuff like this. Like having 3 goals per month is that's already good. And having too many is just gonna make it like stressful and unrealistic. And you can always add like more goals, like especially if you make that list with like goals you have generally, because you're probably gonna have like lots of goals right now because you like apparently have procrastinated them or with them. So it's like really easy to add more goals then and just be like, okay, like this month, these 3 goals, and then when you achieve them, actually like sometimes just taking a break if you achieve them already is also good, and just being like, hey, actually like I deserve this, like I can just chill now and play games. But if you don't want to, of course, you can still do other goals. And then you sometimes even get into the situation that you actually just out of free will, not even forcing yourself or like bullying yourself to do it, achieve some of those goals because you're like, actually, you know what? I just feel like doing it right now. Yeah. Okay. This is enough. It's enough. Wow. They really pack a punch, genuinely. Oh my god. But yeah. Oh. It's 125 milliliters. So it is sort of like more, I guess. It's like 25% ginger. So sort of only like, I don't know, like 41, 42 milliliters of pure ginger. Doesn't say how much water it is, so. But yeah. So apparently there's an ad break in process. I don't know if this is true. Twitch is lying to me sometimes. I'm just gonna bring back this shot. I'm gonna throw away the tea and I'm gonna set up a new tea and get myself some new water as well. So I'm just basically gonna refill everything. I would like either like you guys come up with some questions or topics we can talk about afterwards, Or I would then just probably do my own mental health check-in and just be like, hey, this is how I felt, and maybe we can, like, maybe this will offer sort of some topics. And yeah, this is the plan. So if you, of course, yourself, like if there's anybody else who wants to do a mental health check-in, just come forward and start. I'm back in a second.